All right, so this is the Jerkle Show, and today's topic, we'll be talking about core classes in college. Are they necessary or not? First, let's introduce ourselves. My name is Champion. These are my boys. We all go to the University of Houston, and y'all can introduce yourselves.
My name is Iker. I'm a freshman, and
What's your major?
sports management.
I'll go next. I'm Liam, also a freshman, majoring in finance, maybe double majoring with supply chain, we'll see. But yeah.
Alright, thank you for having me on the podcast.
Of course.
My name is Ryan. I'm currently a freshman, planning on majoring in finance and accounting.
Of course, and I'm majoring in computer science, and my name is Champion. Don't know if I said it already, but who wants to start it off? Do y'all think
I'll start it off.
classes? Oh, okay.
I'll start it
You
off.
got it, buddy. You got
I have a strong opinion on this matter, and I feel like it needs to be addressed.
Okay, I understand.
I feel like core classes are definitely necessary for many people due to the fact that they can build a stronger communication and better life skills. And that's what recruiters look for. So if you're trying to get a job, you'll have a better chance in getting a job if they see those skills.
Soft skills, right?
Soft
So they call them
Sure,
soft
for
skills.
sure.
Yeah,
Mhm.
definitely. So, but in my opinion, at least in Texas, 42 hours of core curriculum is required, which is almost 3 to 4 semesters of classwork. And that isn't really cheap. You know, it's a little over $19,000 on average, which is pretty steep for most college students. You know, so taking core curriculum classes out and only focusing on major classes from day one as a freshman can really save a lot of time and money on your college expenses and the time you spend in college.
I do agree with that, but if in the long run, if you do spend that time and money, those skills that you get out of it might help you get the money back and get a better
It
job.
can be really worth it.
Yeah, I see your point.
And I do agree. They definitely develop your soft skills, and it's great. It's great because it helps you not just in your career field, but just in life in general. And that is very true. And I agree with that. But I feel like we've been taking core classes since elementary school.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
That is true.
And I feel like in order to get to college, in order to get into the college in order to get into college in general, you already have to be proficient and knowledgeable in the core classes that college has to offer. So it just feels like I'm repeating it all over again. It just feels like redundant and unnecessary.
So, for example, I'm planning on pursuing a career in the finance industry, right? How would a class in, let's say, history help me out in my future career? Because I feel like in the next 5 years, I'm not going to remember what I've been learning in my History 1301 class.
100%. I feel like it's a big thing, and also it's actually been shown in a research paper that I was looking at earlier that a lot of kids, we actually forget almost everything we learn in these core classes because usually you never have to apply the knowledge you gain from those classes anywhere else but that class. And also another thing that's been proven in a research paper that is that a lot of these kids they really only try in the class solely for the grade, not
Right.
to actually learn. So that defeats the whole purpose of the class.
But does that come from core classes being required?
Yeah, for sure, 100%.
Or does it come from, like,
It's because
just a student's, because if you take that knowledge and apply it to a class within that student's degree plan, if all they care about is getting the grade in the classes that you call redundant, the core classes,
yeah.
whether they're using, nowadays we talk about AI, however they're using the shortcuts they're doing to achieve that grade, I feel like a student like that, who doesn't care about his education or his or her education in that space, it's going to translate over to their degree plan as well. And that's more an example of a bad student, less than a less motivated student. You know what I mean?
But I feel like why would they need to try in those core classes? You know what I'm saying? What's the point of actually having to learn those core classes? Because again, we've been doing this since elementary school.
Yeah, see, so let me give you a first-hand example from my experience this semester, right? Me, I'm taking an accounting 2301 class this semester, and I've never took any accounting or business-related courses in high school. So it really interested me, and I really showed a lot of effort into that class versus my History 1302 class that I'm taking this semester. I'll be honest, I've used a good amount of AI to help me complete some of my assignments. But however, in my accounting 2301 class that I'm really interested in, since it aligns with my major, I haven't used any sort of ChatGPT to help me get my grade.
And how come in that class you don't feel the need to use it?
Because I feel like I actually want to learn more about that class and more about that topic because it's gonna align with my major and it aligns with my major and my future career.
I think an example of when we talk about how it's always a history class, or like, I mean, I took one this semester, a geology class that I didn't have much interest in, let's be honest, because it's not aligned with my major. But I think that is it a problem? We talk about the problem of students not trying in core classes that are required, right?
Because they feel like it doesn't, they don't need to know about it like in the future, so it just
Yeah.
doesn't help them.
But
Why would you even try?
But does their lack of motivation come from it being a core class or it being a boring class? Because if your accounting class was labeled a core class,
Right.
you'd be enjoying it. And maybe someone who's an engineering major who is forced to take, and I'm not suggesting an accounting system, I'm talking about a class that's interesting and engaging. If that's a core class, it would be more valuable to that student. And I'll give an example. I know someone at A&M who's taking a political science class that is outside of their major, but they have discussions in class, discussion boards, online, whatever, and they talk about current events, and it really interests her and the way that she interacts with that class, and it's something that she had never done before, and it's opened up a new kind of point of interest for her
For sure.
within
So
education.
you can allow them to develop new interests and like learn about themselves and things that they like.
So maybe a solution is to eliminate the boring core classes and replace them with stuff that's going to be engaging for students and allow them to maybe discover a new passion.
Right. But honestly, I feel like those wouldn't be able to be labeled as core curriculum. You know, they'd just be related to majors, such as the political science class that we were talking about. It would be correlated to political science major or maybe like a pre-law major. You know.
Yeah, but I mean that's political science is going to teach you that's ongoing current world events that's relevant information you need to know. Like history before 1803, whatever.
Yeah.
I get how you can be less receptive of a course like that.
For sure.
But political science, we're talking about. I mean, world awareness is crazy, and it has been crazy.
I think
all the
there's
time.
a benefit of some core, a lot of core classes.
Mhm.
They bring up like current world issues and makes you like knowledgeable on them and
Stuff that's valuable to me as a
100%,
student.
yeah, for sure.
For
And
sure.
I feel like if they made core classes relevant to us, you know what I'm saying, and useful to us, people would actually be interested in, you know, actually want to learn and actually care about that class, you know.
Well, I'll bring up a point actually. I'll go back to how you talked about, you guys brought up the point that these core classes can seem redundant
Right.
based on the fact we've been doing them since we were, you know, in elementary school, middle school, high school, right? I don't know, I'll ask you guys this question. Were you guys nervous on your first day of classes coming as a freshman? Did you guys feel a little bit of anxiety about
For sure.
going to class and being nervous about meeting professors and whatever?
For sure. I thought college was gonna be. I was scared college was gonna be really hard. You know, like I just had to be locked in all the time, and I didn't have time to just like enjoy myself and my friends. You know, but I guess yeah, for sure. I definitely did feel some anxiety, and I was a little nervous.
I was definitely a little nervous, and something that calmed my nerves down was core classes. In fact, me and Iker had a class, we had math together, that math 13.4 class.
Okay.
Went to that class, is that, because it is a core class, right?
Yeah.
Well, I'd call it a core.
Whatever it is, it's a basic level class, and we sat down, first day of notes was stuff that I had been learning. I mean, we had been learning that since like, freshman year probably. It was stuff that was ingrained,
Helped us review
and
more.
it definitely gave me a sense of relief of, oh, okay, we're not in the hot seat yet, like, go get
Sure.
to this class.
I feel like
seems
it
it's
really,
pretty easy.
it really
It's
eases
a
them
familiar, it helps to transition from high school or wherever you've been previously in your academic life into college. I think it starts as a transition,
That's a
and
really
it was
good
valuable to me.
And if there were no core classes and you were just focused on your major, every single class, every single day of your college career, then you would just be really stressed out and be focused.
Maybe learn to hate your major as well.
Yeah, you would end up just hating your major. You would go straight from all numbers, all business, straight into a job that's all business. Your whole life is basically numbers.
For sure.
And core classes just help you like take your mind off and maybe just not hate your major. And some people come into college and they, like I said, they still don't know what they want to do. So they could not like if it was no core classes, they would just need to pick a major and just take to those classes, and they would have no option. But core classes definitely help them develop and find something they would like.
That's a really good point. I actually never thought about that.
Another way, we transition into college was a big thing for me, like trying to meet a new circle of friends. You know, obviously I got you guys through just residency where we live, but like, and in one of my classes last year was actually the same math class. I met two friends, Mason and Caleb, who I would not have bumped into if I was not in that core class. and obviously that's going to depend on who you are as a person, whether you're going to, be sociable and go out and put yourself out there. And I'm one of those people, but I found myself in these classes and in classes in general, meeting people who are not in the same major as me. They're not, so I'm not all within Bell, it's people who are majoring in like people in pre-med, people in pre-law, whatever it is. And those are some of the most valuable friendships I have on this campus today. And they wouldn't have been there if I wasn't taking these core classes.
Hey, for sure. And actually, that's a really good point actually that you just said, Liam, because one of my core classes, I take drama. Drama, like, why am I freaking taking drama is what I thought, but then I actually met the love of my life.
Really?
In my
You
drama
did?
class, yeah.
Which one was this? Which love your life is this?
Which way was this one?
Hey, all you need to know is that I met someone really special in that core class, and I would have never met her otherwise,
That's good, right?
And so,
But is she worth $19,000?
ooh, that's a great question. Honestly, I feel
Put a
like
monetary value on
She's
what you're on.
priceless.
she's priceless. I mean, this brings an end to the Jericho Show. We've all said how we feel about the issue, and now for those of you who believe there needs to be a change in the core curriculum, you might be wondering, what can we as students do about it, right? Well, there are a couple ways for those of y'all attending the University of Houston, all right? First, you can contact the UH student government at this link. It'll be you'll see it on the
It'll be right here.
And you can also contact the dean or the dean assistant of your specific college by searching up your college, clicking the menu bar, which are the 3 lines in the top right, and then clicking the dean office section under the people tab. And finally, you can contact the school's provost, Diane Z. Chase, by going to this link
This is Chase.
on the screen.
Yes.
But again, this is the end of the Jericho Show today. I hope y'all enjoyed what we said, what we had to offer.
Yes, thank you for having us again.
Of course, for sure. It's a pleasure having y'all, man. Yeah, that's it.